Hello and welcome to The Successful Mentalist. Of course, it's Ashley and Aidan here, and today this is just a tip, another midweek episode on a Wednesday. A little bit of inspiration, thoughts, and ideas to keep you on track within your entertainment business. Today we're going to be talking about the best ways to hand out your business cards, and before we start, I want to make a big point to all of you. So listen carefully, lean in. I'm about to say something which all of you need to, as you too, Aidan, which you all need to remember. Stop giving out your business cards at every single opportunity. It's a pet hate of mine, and audiences hate it as well.
Yeah, it's really annoying at the end of the day, like constantly forcing business cards down people's throats. And again, if you're anything like us, yes, business cards are really important when it comes down to these close-up interactions, if you like. They are an important part of actually getting more work and getting more gigs. And if you're anything like me, which I know an awful lot of people listening to this podcast are, I have a blank reverse side of my business card so that I can have people write words down, write information, do drawings, and I can use that in my routines as my billets instead of having a stack of business cards, a regular deck of cards, and another stack of blank cards. I just combined all of the decks into one blank business card with my actual details on the other side. And again, what people fall into the trap of, and I'm guilty of this myself, is that I always used to give it out as a souvenir afterwards. You drew this, and I'll leave that with you, or anything. I'd give that to them. And as a result, I thought that the other people around the table would feel left out, that they didn't get a business card. So I'd be giving them a business card as well, in the hope that giving them and giving everybody business cards would actually get me more gigs. And Ashley, what's the truth behind dishing out loads of business cards?
At the end of the day, it's just annoying. From my own perspective of when I've been there at events and magicians have come up to me, it just feels like someone's trying to force a gig onto you. It's like you've welcomed that person, and especially if we take a restaurant example, you're sat down at a meal and then maybe the magician walks past and you've let them in. You've let them enter that space, that little private space with you, your friends, your family, whatever, and they've blown you away with some amazing entertainment, and there's no smooth transition into it. It just seems like here's a clear cut at the end of the entertainment, and then it goes straight into, oh, by the way, here's a business card. It just feels like, okay, thanks, and then you feel awkward because it's I know I'm not going to book you, I know it's a waste of money, you handed me that card, and then you start feeling awkward and overthinking it. And then on the other side, like you mentioned, we love writing stuff down and handing that out. It's the worst souvenir in the world, isn't it? To get a scribble and then just hand it out. I mean, you get the odd people which like it, but when you fill an entire table up with ripped pieces of paper, stacks of business cards, it gets in the way, and it's just a pain. And it's not me saying it of when I've just personally been out to meals. It's just because I'm a magician. I've seen this from client's perspective. I've seen it from layman's perspective as well, when they're out having meals, and this has happened to them or various other events. That the meal example at a restaurant was just an example, but the point still stands.
Well, it's one of those things. It's you've taken out and extracted the one awkward, horrible bit of traditional networking events, like the whole networking events being the whole walking around schmoozing, swapping business cards, going home and never doing anything about it, or supposedly filling your calendar with bookings and all of that stuff. That's old school networking. We talk about this an awful lot on the podcast and in other places, but it's like taking that whole awkward interaction of, here's a business card, forcing it onto people that aren't even going to those events, and forcing it only in one direction, because you're not asking for business cards in return, or you're not doing a swap. It's just hey, book me, or hey, follow me on Instagram, hey, do something here. It's it's really it's just bizarre, and it comes across as often quite desperate at the best of times, because if you're sat there dishing them out constantly, I don't know about you, Ashley, but I personally feel that when I do things like that, or did things like that, big difference, did things like that, it always used to leave almost an awkward or a sour undertone to the actual performance. I could go in, I could be welcomed amazingly, I could do this incredible routine, whatever that might be, probably Witch Hand, because you guys know me at this point. I could do this incredible performance piece, everyone loves it, and then I have to dish out all of the business cards, and it all feels a little bit And sure, you play to the laws of psychology. You've got that whole law of reciprocity in that you've done them a favour, so in return they're more likely to do something in return for you. But it's not that straightforward when it comes down to the booking and gigs. It just comes across really awkward, and it does come as desperate. What are your experiences with that?
Well, it is desperate. If you was a good magician, then you wouldn't need to pester people constantly asking for gigs. So definitely that desperate part comes from it. But also you've got to actually do some research when you're actually doing gigs and when you're working on behalf of venues or other clients. You've got to make sure it's okay to hand out your business cards there, because sometimes some venues and some clients and some bookers won't be happy with you handing out your business cards. So if you are planning on doing it, you actually got to make sure that it's okay to do in the first place.
Well, I know there's a lot of gigs out there, and especially if you get like referral gigs from other entertainers, or you go onto like those gig listing sites, sometimes they could be really funny about, absolutely no way you can give out business cards here. And again, that's kind of, without going into too much depth, that's one of the reasons I also decided, like, I'm just going to use my business cards as tools, because I'm not giving them away, because they're part of but anyway, that's another conversation for another time, how to use your business cards. But yeah, it does get awkward if you're sat there dishing out the business cards and your booker, your client, somebody in the venue has to say that, we don't do that here, that's not welcomed, because it freezes a lot of entertainers who just think that that's the way that they're going to get the word out, or get that brand awareness, or get more people inquiring if they're constantly shoving business cards down their throat. And I do want to point out that business cards aren't all doom and gloom. Like, I've had people that have come up to me 2-3 years later with the business card, with the word or the reveal written actually on it, in their wallet still, like, oh my gosh, I remember this a few years ago, and they're showing me this business card perfectly intact, still in their wallet. Like, this is amazing. And they're constantly coming back to see shows and see new things because they've been converted into a raving fan. But they haven't just been converted into a raving fan then. It came to how they actually got the business cards in the first place, which is the new message, the new angle that we want to share with you. Ashley, if somebody wants their business cards out there into the world, and we're saying don't give them, what do we need to do instead?
Exactly that. You've heard the hate and despise we have for these things, but here's my process if I want to hand a business card to a group. Well, first of all, I let them express interest in me and interest in potentially wanting me at a certain event. I drop hints throughout my performances, so if there's an opportunity there for something potentially further, they will naturally then ask me and they'll express their interest, or I might see their interest. After that, I don't then just say, well, here's my business card, because let's be honest, it's very easy to lose a business card. It's very easy to forget to call the magician or entertainer. It's too much effort on their part. It's much easier to do it this way. If they express interest, take their details first. Now I'm going to get a high conversion because I've got their details. It's not too much effort for me because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that could be £1,000 gig. I then hop on the phone to them afterwards. I've now got their details. It means I'm more likely to actually convert that date later down the line. After I've got their details, I then hand them my card and say, hey, my website's on there if you want to look at anything, blah, 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 blah.
Well, it's so important, the point there that you're afterwards giving them, you're not never giving them your business card. You are still giving them your business card, but it comes after you've got their information. And one of the things like I love doing as well is like doing the whole pat down the pockets of just, in fact, can I get your information as I'm patting down the pockets to show that, I don't know where my business, I don't know if I've got any business cards kind of thing. And then when it comes down to it, there is one in my pocket as I'm putting the phone away. All internal theory here. That's not what I'm actually saying to people. That's all going on inside my head. Otherwise it'd be really awkward if don't say what you do, but just act. It's panto. It's all panto.
But it's much more intentional when you do it that way. And I think that's where a lot of entertainers fall wrong at doing this. The intent behind it, first of all, they just want to do it to just get the business cards out because they think it's going to get a load of gigs, when in reality that number's really low on that conversion. The way we're saying to do it is actually lead those little drops throughout. And if you listen to the wonderful podcast interview with Eugene Foley that we've done there, you're going to know all about dropping subtle little hints to get people to ask you and be interested in you to lead up to this point. So go check that out if you're curious about diving deeper in there. But now there's intent, now there's reasons, and now it doesn't feel like you just like, goodbye to the entertainment, here's a card, right, goodbye. It's all transition and it all slowly moves together. And then naturally I'm taking the time to talk to people on top and actually care about them and have proper conversation, which is something we rave about all the time. But yeah, that's the proper way to do it so that you don't seem desperate and so that you actually have their details, because that's going to be so much more useful than just handing them a card in the first place.
Exactly. You're building the rapport. You're starting that relationship on a good note. And if I asked, say, if I was a complete layperson and I asked Ashley for a business card here and he took the time to ask me for my details, just to make sure everything goes ahead and to make sure everything is all under control, I would be more confident in this person as an entertainer, as a person, as an entity, because they're actually showing that they actually care about this thing. And it's not like, oh, I'm just going to, just give you a business card. Yeah, my details are on there. You're actually taking the hard work out of the interaction and you're taking it out and keeping hold of it. And again, it's not really that hard to do from your angle either. So again, really important stuff. Actually stop giving your business cards out at every possible opportunity. Make sure that your performances are loaded in such a way that people actually want to have your business cards. And when they ask, don't give it to them, but get their information first and then supply the business cards. That is the key to actually getting good conversions off of these. That is the key to actually making sure that you're going to save a ton of cash on printing new business cards all the flipping time. And that is ultimately the key to creating really powerful demonstrations in close-up situations with long-term effects.
Easy as that. So best of luck, guys. Go and smash it out there. What we will do today is we'll put a little post in the network talking about the best ways in which you guys hand out your business cards, because I'll be honest, we're really interested to know. And if you want to join in on the wonderful conversations we're having over in our own private community, head over to thesuccessfulmentalist.com/community, make your free account, log in, and you'll be able to see the post which we've made today, talking all about the best ways that you guys hand out your business cards. We'll see you soon.